So let's talk technique and process. I mentioned before that I'm using these photopolymer printing plates from the commercial industry, and I buy them in big boxes directly from a supplier that supplies printing packaging companies. I can cut them down to whatever size I need. And so the basic process of making a photopolymer photogravure, and I like to use the correct terminology. It is a photopolymer photogravure as opposed to a copper plate photogravure, which is a much more traditional way of making photogravures. So we're using photopolymer plates. And I've talked a little bit about the integration of the digital technique. Of course, you can shoot your image with whatever device you like. I've worked with people who use their mobile phones right through to large format film photography. The image has to be digitised and transferred onto the screen. So here's an example. This is the final photogravure of this technique that I'm going to show you. So the image started off on screen, and in this scenario it's a landscape in a remote part of Argentina, and I have reinterpreted this landscape in a way that tells the story. So it's not a straight image. It's got many layers. I won't go through all of the layers, but I have copy and pasted the different parts of the image and digitally reinterpreted it to come up with this final result, which is sort of a mirror as well as using different aspects of the same landscape in different areas. So the image is on screen. I will then get a photopolymer plate out of my stock, and the plate, once it comes out of the box, is photosensitive, which means that it's sensitive to light. In our case, it's sensitive to UV light, and you have to treat it in low light. So the sort of lighting that we're working in now is fine. It's like working in a dark room, but not as sensitive as photo paper from the dark room. So the image goes from the screen, it's printed onto the plate using an inkjet printer. So I would feed the blank plate into my inkjet printer, and the image is printed onto the plate. Now, this is a process called direct-to-plate process. Up until maybe about 5 years ago, I used to make a film, used to print a film on the inkjet printer and contact the film onto the plate for exposing. I've sort of refined the technique even further so that I'm able to get rid of the film process and use the direct-to-plate. So I'll print the image directly onto the plate, and once that image is printed, it becomes, it acts the same as the film. It's a resist on the plate. Once it's printed, I'll bring it over to my a UV light box. So this is a UV light. It's basically just an empty box with LED strips which exposes the plate using UV light. So I'll expose this to an amount of time which I've predetermined, 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, depending on what the type of plate that I'm working with. So once it's exposed, the plate comes out, and then I will etch the plate in water, and I'll just put running water on it. Once I put the water on the plate, that inkjet layer of image will wash away and the polymer will etch. So the polymer is water soluble. It hardens with the UV light, but it will dissolve with water, and that's what creates the etch on the plate. So an etch plate means that it's got little dips and valleys where the etching ink will sit on the plate before it's printed through an etching press, and that etch is done through a combination of hardening the polymer with a UV light and the dissolving of the polymer with the water. So that's basically it as far as making the plate, and I'll give you a demonstration on printing the plate through the etching press.